On today's show, the Houston Rockets walk away with Thompson and Cam Whitmore from the 2023 NBA draft. The Rockets got their potential engine of the future with Thompson. Why did Cam Whitmore fall all the way down to pick 20? And what do these two selections mean for the future of your Houston Rockets? It's all coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start.
The Houston Rockets select Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, and Jabari Smith Jr.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal.
Every time I step on that floor, I'm coming.
Hey, Houston fans, I am so happy.
You're getting somebody who's going to come in with a chip on their shoulder, somebody who's going to come in and compete from day one.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Mondays. Be sure to follow along on Twitter at JT Gatlin, and the show, of course, at Locked On Rockets, free and available wherever you listen to your podcast, including YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Rockets. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Give me your thoughts on the Rockets draft night. Thompson, Cam Whitmore, picks 4 and 20. Drop your thoughts in the YouTube comments. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. And as always, thank you so much for making LOR part of your day every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers, whether it's on the way to work, on your lunch break, at the gym. Thank you for making LOR part of your day every single day. We are still here. I'm here in New York, in Brooklyn. They're tearing down the stage, the setup behind me. If you're watching on YouTube, you can probably hear the ambiance, the sounds of everybody tearing stuff. It has been an insane night. Thompson, Cam Whitmore are now part of your Houston Rockets. I'm still shocked, and we're going to unpack as much as we can in today's episode about how all this went down. But let's start with just the big picture here. Is these are two insane additions for the Houston Rockets, who are at the tail end of what has been their rebuilding period, the time that they knew that they committed to being bad, to bottoming out, to having a chance at acquiring top talent. And there were some concerns, right, that maybe this year would be another Paolo Banchero situation where the Rockets were, incredibly high on Thompson. He had an insane workout in Houston. They absolutely love him. He blew them away. And he said after being selected that he felt like he was going to be a Rocket. Like he felt like it was going to happen, that it was meant to be. And it now is. I mean, the Rockets got their potential engine of the future in Thompson, right? He's a guy with this insane high upside as a player. He's going to immediately be a 1% tier one, like 99th percentile tier one athlete the moment he steps onto an NBA court, probably top 5 athlete in the NBA day one. And he and Jalen Green together are going to be easily one of, if not already right out of the gate, the most athletic backcourts in the entire NBA. And when asked about how he sees himself fitting in with Jalen Green, Thompson had this to say. He said, "I see two very athletic guards who can push the tempo, push the pace, both ball handlers. I like to be on a team with as many people who can make plays for us as possible, and I think that's what we've got over there." So is incredibly excited to be in Houston. This was the pick that felt like it was destiny to happen, was Thompson to the Houston Rockets. Brandon Miller went to the Charlotte Hornets. Scoot Henderson went to the Portland Trailblazers. And at this point, there should be no buyer's remorse. Rockets fans shouldn't be frustrated. The cards fell where they did, and the Rockets still walked away with an incredibly talented prospect in Thompson. The shot does need a lot of work. It absolutely does. When I had the chance to ask him about the shot and about the work that he plans on doing, the first thing he said is, "I'm going to be in the gym. I'm going to be in the gym. And he goes, who's the new shooting coach that Houston just hired? He already knows that Houston hired a shooting coach, Ben Sullivan. And I told him his name. I said, Ben Sullivan. He was like, yeah, I'm going to be in the gym with him working on my shot. He knows what he has to work on. He knows what he has to get better at. And the things that he's already projected to be insanely good at, the high-level playmaking, the insane pick-and-roll reads, the defensive versatility, the size, the athleticism, all that. And those are the on-the-court stuff. I think the intangibles really stand out about him, too. I think Amin Thompson is easily going to be somebody who can be a leader for this Houston Rockets team, somebody who isn't going to be afraid to call guys out. I asked him about how he would describe himself as a leader. And he said, I think I've become more of a vocal leader, but first I lead by example. And I think I can bring that to Houston. I think Houston got a lot of players that have great potential, and I think they have a scary future. So the sky's the limit for this young Houston Rockets team with an insane abundance of talent. Because again, this was the end of what was supposed to be a 3-year rebuild. And not only did the Rockets get their top pick with number 4 with Amin Thompson, an incredible prospect, they also lucked into getting Cam Whitmore, who was projected as a top 5, top 7 pick in this year's draft, falling all the way down to pick 20. He might be, when we look back on this draft, even 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, I think it's very easily he is going to be the steal of this NBA draft. And somehow the Rockets walk away with not 1, but 2 prospects who were projected as top 5 guys in this draft. And they didn't have to trade or give up anything or do anything to make it happen. Why did Cam Whitmore ultimately fall down to pick 20? We're going to break down everything going on with Cam Whitmore and how he became a Houston Rocket coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Because look, when it comes to shorts, you got to check out Bird Dogs. They are the best shorts that you will ever own. I'm telling you straight up about this because before I got Bird Dogs, I didn't like shorts. I wore pants all the time, pants, jeans, slacks, sweatpants, whatever. I would never show anything below the knee. And then I got my hand on a couple pairs of Bird Dogs, and honestly, they are the most comfortable shorts that I've ever owned. The fabric is breathable. It's so comfortable. They're stylish. You'll look good wearing them. You can wear them out to hang out with friends. You could wear them on a date. They're multifaceted. You can wear them to the beach or to the pool. You can swim in them. There's no shortage of what you can do with them. And right now, when you go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA, you will get a free Yeti style tumbler with every single order that you place. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNBA for a free Yeti style tumbler. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. I promise you that. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. No segue music because that's the life of a traveling podcaster. I do miss my soundboard a little bit though. It's kind of lonely not having it right here to my left like I normally do. Cam Whitmore falls all the way down to pick 20 for your Houston Rockets. How did it happen? So my understanding and what I've been told is there are some concerns about his physicals, and it has to do with a knee issue and potentially a hip issue as well that really kind of scared teams away from the idea of taking him, which is why a projected top 5, top 7 pick wound up sliding all the way to pick 20 for the Houston Rockets. And I will say on the surface, yeah, it sounds a little scary. You're like, well, if all the other teams were too scared to draft him, why did the Rockets take a swing on it? Well, first off, that 20th pick was a pick that they didn't really even want in the first place. And they were very much looking at possibilities of trading out of that pick. They didn't really want to bring in another guy. I was saying in the lead up to the draft process, if they could get their hands on another lottery level talent, either by trading up or whatever, then yeah, they would absolutely do it, right? And grab another talented piece and just figure out the fit later on and who gets what minutes and whatever. They can figure that part out later on. The moment it looked like Cam Whitmore might slide and keep sliding, the Rockets were reportedly very aggressive in trying to trade up because they wanted to secure their guy. And they felt that Cam Whitmore made a lot of sense for them, as even if it's a risky play based on the potential concerns with the physicals, doesn't really matter because that's the kind of a risk that you can absolutely afford to take with the 20th pick in the draft. Now, Cam spent a good chunk of his post-draft pressers and interviews debunking any concerns with his physicals. Basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, he was like, look, it's my body, and I don't know where it came from. I don't know why it's out there, but I feel great, is more or less what he said multiple different times to me, to other reporters. He was not shy about basically saying, I don't know why that happened, but it did, and here we are. Now, Cam also did mention that he had spent the last about month and a half training and working out in Houston, of all places. And when I got the chance to ask Rafael Stone in his post-draft media availability about Cam spending about a month and a half in Houston and kind of what that means for the Rockets and organizationally, their confidence level in him, despite any potential reports of the physicals being concerned or whatever, Rafael basically, Stone said, hey, look, I trust our doctors, and I don't really care what other teams say or what they think or what the reports say. I trust our doctors. And Rafael also said, look, I saw him work out 3 or 4 days ago. He looked amazing. I saw him at the combine. He looked amazing. Basically just singing Cam's praises. And he also shared the fact that he said he's been here for quite a while working out. And when we interviewed him, he talked about how much he loved the city, and it was very obviously genuine. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with Cam, so I think this is a really good fit. Like, you could tell Rafael kind of, like, Stone almost like lit up a little bit when he was talking about Cam and what it possibly means for this Houston Rockets team, again, to walk away with such a talented prospect at pick 20 without having to give up anything extra. And I get it. There are concerns, right? Depending on the severity of the physicals, what issues there may or may not be there. I will say, for anybody who is concerned about this, first off, I raved about Amen in the first segment. Cam has the chance he has serious star potential. He really does. He is a wrecking ball. He can get to the rim at an incredibly high level. He can finish through contact at already an elite level. Adding some playmaking to his bag is going to be kind of his next step because he can already collapse a defense and finish in and around the rim. He's got a great ability to put the ball on the deck and make things happen with it. And he's also a deceptively good shooter. He really didn't have a chance with Villanova to showcase his shooting because of the way that they ran things. And now on this Rockets team, he will absolutely have an opportunity to be in a position to hit some spot up 3-point shots, right? He is somebody who can easily slot in on the wing and give the Rockets a legitimate quality 3-point threat from beyond the arc. He was in, I want to say it was like the 84th percentile in catch and shoot threes at the collegiate level. So he brings a lot to the table. And having your name slide all the way to pick 20 when you thought you were going to be a projected top 5, top 7 pick, the way that he was talking in the post-draft interviews about having a chip on his shoulder, he had one, I want to make sure I get this quote just right, on sliding the way that he did, when it kind of asked about falling to pick 20, basically, he said, it motivates me to like 150%. I don't even know. It's just something where I've got to rethink, go in the next day, new mind, free mind, coming into that organization with a chip on my shoulder, having a lot of motivation on my mind. At the end of the day, it doesn't really faze me. I know I'm different than everybody else, but it's just another chapter in my life, another step in the journey, time to get to work. This is going to be the utmost motivation for a guy that already kind of had a mentality and played with a chip on his shoulder, that type of, that's kind of screams his game. And I will leave you with this note for anybody who is really concerned about Cam and the way that he slid to 20. There's a little team, a little known team, the Denver Nuggets just won the NBA title. And one of their big three, one of their key pieces for that title run was none other than Michael Porter Jr., who slid in the draft due to physicals, right? it was a concern with him. His back, the back issues were a legitimate concern with MPJ. And the Nuggets were able to take a flyer on him just outside of the lottery. If memory serves, I want to get this right. I want to say it was pick 16, if I got that right. It was like right at the end of the lottery or whatever, somewhere in that range. And they took a gamble on him, and it paid off immensely for them, right? The Nuggets had no business walking away with that caliber of player at that spot in the draft. The Rockets could very easily be in the same boat with Cam Whitmore, where, hey, every other team got scared at the idea of these, bad physicals that were out there, or worried about how his body was going to hold up. And the Rockets saw something, and the Rockets doctors were like, you know what? We're good with it. He's fine. He's going to be great. And clearly he is a guy with star upside potential. And now the Rockets walk away with not only their top pick at number 4 with Amen Thompson, they also get to walk away very, very proud, heads held high, that they got what is going to be the steal of the draft. I feel confident in saying it now, in Cam Whitmore, because that was a guy that they were at least a little bit interested in potentially taking with the 4th overall pick. Right? He's a guy that I can't, as I was, running around the draft and following and, doing all the media stuff. And I'm sitting there seeing the updates on the board, watching Cam keep sliding and sliding and sliding. And as I learned about the reason that he was sliding and the concerns with the physicals, even then I was thinking to myself, man, like, there's got to be a team that'll still take a gamble on him, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? Yeah, it might be a bit more of a risky play, but if the risk pays off, you look like the team that takes him looks like they're going to be a genius, right? And the Rockets look like they're going to be that team. I feel very confident in the way that the Rockets have kind of handled it, and the way that Cam has addressed concerns, and the way that Stone addressed concerns. They clearly saw something. And I'll leave you with this tinfoil hat anecdote, is what if the Rockets put the smoke out there about Cam's physicals so that he would be available at pick 20? I don't think that's true. I'm going to say that now. I don't think that's legitimate, but it is a fun tinfoil hat theory to think about, that the Rockets completely played the smoke and mirrors game and managed to not only get the guy that they wanted at number 4 with Amen Thompson, but also played all 29 other teams or whatever, however many other teams were ahead of them before pick 20, and got another top end lottery talent without giving up any additional assets to do so. I'm incredibly excited. I think these two guys are big time additions for the Houston Rockets, and it's a good day to be a Rockets fan. The Rockets may not have outright won this year's NBA draft, but they've got to be pretty darn close with the caliber of talent that they walk away with these two names. Coming up, I want to share some final thoughts about the draft, about what these two picks mean for the future of this Houston Rockets team, how we can envision them meshing with Ime Udoka. We'll get to maybe some of the other questions that they answered. It's going to be way too much to try and squeeze all into one episode, but I will go ahead and tackle that here in our final segment. But first, I do need to tell you guys about Game Time, because look, when it comes to tickets, right? You're trying to go out, have a good time, see a concert, comedy show, sporting event, whatever. You don't want to stress about the tickets that you're trying to get. That's no fun. You're trying to go out and have a good time, right? Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events happening near you. They've got flash deals on last-minute tickets. Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. They've got images of seat views, like the seat views that you see behind me right here at Barclays. They've got images, so you know exactly the type of bang that you are getting for the buck that you are spending. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And I also want to tell you guys very quickly about Prize Picks. Because look, what is Prize Picks? It's daily fantasy sports, but how does it work? If you're unfamiliar, basically you pick 2 to 6 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 25 times back on your money on any entry that you submit. There's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. And PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch. That's NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL. They've got you covered for all the action over at PrizePicks. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that simple. They're safe. They offer fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. So download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That means if you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. So don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets. You are? No, that's not how that works. Your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. I'm hanging in there, guys. We are going on 2 a.m. here in New York. And I will try to get my final sleep-deprived thoughts out here before doing editing, and we'll get this episode up. I'm just blown away. I really am. I'm blown away. I think the Rockets come away from this draft like absolute bandits with Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore. And thinking about what this team is going to look like, I'm sorry, can you even think? I want you to take a second, close your eyes. If you're driving, please don't close your eyes. If you're somewhere stationary and you can, close your eyes and envision a lineup featuring Amen Thompson, Jalen Green, Cam Whitmore, Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun. I'm closing my eyes right now thinking about that lineup, and holy crap, how insane is that lineup going to be when we first get to see it on a basketball floor? That lineup has so much talent, so much athleticism, so many guys who can play off of Alperen Sengun, or guys who can play well with Alperen. Like that 5-man lineup is going to be absolute must-see, like NBA League Pass type TV. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch these guys grow and develop with one another. And I will say, when we look at the direction this Rockets team is going, right? You've got guys, Jabari and Tari obviously just finished their rookie seasons. Two guys who very much pride themselves defensively. Amen Thompson, another guy who prides himself on what he brings to the team from a defensive standpoint. Cam Whitmore, another very capable NBA-ready defender. Guys he's got all the physicals to be able to do it. All the physical gifts to be a good defender. There are some insane athletes on this Houston Rockets team. And when at one point during the presser, Stone was like, we can jump high. I know that. We can run fast. Like he was saying it kind of jokingly, but like, yeah, like this Rockets team might be one of, if not the most athletic teams in the NBA next season. And you've got a coach in Ime Udoka who is really going to be able to harness, I think, the physical gifts of these players and also their drive to be impactful defensive pieces, right? A big part of defense is wanting to play defense. And I do think, right, you've got a couple guys already in Jabari and Tari, and now you're adding more guys to that already like beginning stages formulating defensive culture that I'm sure Ime Udoka wants to have for this Rockets team in Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore. Those are going to be two pieces that are absolutely going to be able to help the Rockets achieve a lot on the defensive end, even as rookies. There was a point where, as we were navigating the hallways, doing the media circuit with Cam, that Cam and Jarris Walker saw each other, and I managed to get a quick video of it, and I put it up on social media. But Jarris sees Cam, and his first words are he just goes, "How? Like how?" He goes, we're gonna have to talk, bro. because obviously Jarius Walker from Houston, right? Like, went to U of H and, knows the city. And Cam was like, I'm in H-Town now. And then somebody in the background of that video said something about Houston being, all about the strippers, or it's the city with the strippers, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing here. I need to go back and listen to my own video and see what actually got said. But it was a really funny interaction, and it was just really cool. Shout out to Jarius Walker, go Cougs. And also shout out to Marcus Sasser, 2 UH Cougars taken in the first round of this year's NBA draft. UH basketball program under Kelvin Sampson is a tier 1 program, one of, if not arguably, the top program in the nation. And this is just further proof of that the Cougs that's Cougs house, man. Cougs house. I want to make sure, I'm trying to think if there's any other immediate reactions to this that I have. I'm thinking my mind's still going 90 miles a minute trying to process all this. This is a great way to end the rebuild for the Rockets with these 2 picks. It also means that there is going to be a serious roster crunch coming. Who stays, who goes? They're obviously not getting rid of Amin or Cam Whitmore. Those 2 guys are pretty safe. Jalen, Sengun, those guys are safe. Jabari, Tari are probably safe. But a lot of the other names that are floating around, right? Garuba, Josh Christopher, Ty Washington, like those guys, Dacian Nix, obviously. Like there's a lot of names on this roster that might not be here next season because you've only got 15 spots, right? You've only got so many different spots on an NBA roster. And I do think it's interesting, right? How are they going to approach, we were already kind of thinking about, okay, well, how do they balance wanting to be competitive next season, wanting to add a bunch of veterans? How do you now balance not just one top pick in Amin Thompson, but how do you balance growing and developing Cam Whitmore now while also still wanting to go out and get some veteran guys to be able to impact winning and kind of establish a winning culture for this team and for this young core? It's going to be incredibly difficult, and it's going to be like a freaking tightrope challenge for Ime Udoka to find the right balance between trusting and developing the young guys and relying on the stability and the know-how and the presence of whichever veterans the Rockets ultimately bring in via free agency, which Stone did double down in his post-media presser, saying that the picks in tonight's draft will not impact the Rockets' decisions in the upcoming free agency period. We did get a very brief report. Now, I will not tackle this in depth. It'll have to happen on a future episode. That the Rockets are, I believe Woj said something along the lines of the Rockets are front runners for landing Brooke Lopez. I'm going to have to double check here, confirm with my trusty Twitter feed. There we go. Adrian Wojnarowski confirmed that the Rockets are going to be a real threat to sign Brooke Lopez. Yeah, the Rockets really like Brooke Lopez, and they really, really want to bring him in. It's just a question of how much is that going to look like. I'm assuming something like 2 years, $40 million, whatever. So that was a nice little bit of news that we got on draft night as it relates back to Houston Rockets free agency. But, man, Amin Thompson, Cam Whitmore, and then you look throughout the entirety of the process, right? And the pieces that you feel very confident about, at least moving forward, the prize jewels of the rebuilding period, right? And I think we can say it's safely 6 names: Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith Jr., Tari Eason, Amin Thompson, Cam Whitmore. Those are 6 insanely talented pieces to have. And regardless of whatever else happens with any of the other pieces, with free agency, whatever, that is an incredible foundation to move the team forward And the Rockets have the right coach for the job in Ime Udoka. So I think that they crushed the head coaching hire. Obviously, we've talked about that here. I think they crushed this draft. And the future is looking incredibly bright in Houston. Next up, they've got free agency. And then after free agency, they'll have NBA Summer League where we'll get a chance to see Amin Thompson and Cam Whitmore in person, and it should be a ton of fun. So on that note, I do want your thoughts. How are you feeling? Give me your thoughts, your reactions to this draft. Let me know in the YouTube comments. But as always, thank you so much for checking out the show. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing wherever you listen to your podcast. That's Apple, Spotify, Google, the Odyssey app. Free and available on all podcast platforms. We're also available on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Rockets, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.